World Tour has established itself as the world's most prestigious big mountain skiing and snowboarding competition. The first stop of this year's Freeride World Tour was in Hakuba, Japan, where the snow is usually so deep you need a snorkel. But this year, the legendary Japan was in short supply, leaving low tide conditions on the lower mountain, but still good snow for a freeride competition in the high alpine. The cosy town of Hakuba, with its 9,000 citizens, is one of Japan's most famous ski resorts. It's located in the Nagano prefecture, surrounded by nearly 3,000 metre high mountains. It is famous for its snow quality and powder. This year's venue/playground was the mountain Kuzurezawa, the perfect location for the first stop of the Freeride World Tour. Next, the tour went to Kicking Horse. This famous resort sits just above the bustling town of Golden in British Columbia and is known as the Champagne powder capital of Canada. About 3,500 residents live here, and the average annual snowfall at the Alpine Kicking Horse Mountain Resort is 650 centimetres. This year, the ozone-facing Kicking Horse offered two different starting points for the riders to choose from. The third stop of the 2020 Freeride World Tour took the riders to Ordino Arcalís in the Pyrenees. Known as the most remote ski resort in Andorra, with a summit elevation of 2,625 metres. The town of Ordino has a history stretching back to the 9th century, and today it has a population of just over 5,000 people. Andorra is a landlocked sovereign microstate deep in the mountain range of the Pyrenees. These huge rocky summits form the natural border between France and Spain, with peaks reaching nearly 3,500 metres. The face was at Quince Metros, a short, fast descent demanding precision from the riders to link together features. The last stop of the 2020 Freeride World Tour was Fieberbrunn in Austria. It's located in the Austrian district of Tyrol, in the middle of the Pilersee Valley, near the famous town of Kitzbühel and right in the middle of the Kitzbüheler Alps. The main event, and also the rerun of the snowboard men's event from Andorra, took place on the Wildseeloder mountain. For Jacqueline Passot, the new season didn't start that well. In Japan, she had an uncharacteristic crash right at the beginning of her run and had to settle for 8th place. But things started improving for her in Kicking Horse. She didn't make it into the top 3, but a solid run secured her 5th place on the ozone. Like her husband René Barcred, it would appear that Jackie is only getting better with age. In Andorra, she sent it off the top lip and linked it straight into the second drop. Then on the big cliff band in the middle of the face, she sent it. It was another clean run for the American in Ordino Arcalís and her first podium of the season. She was building momentum. She'd been threatening retirement at the end of 2019, but the big mountain specialist has skied fearlessly, and she backed it up with another big line in Fieberbrunn, 2nd place for Jackie Passot in Austria and 3rd in the overall rankings. Hedvig Wessel, the mogul skier who competed in the Winter Olympics in Sochi, has transitioned seamlessly into freeride skiing. In Japan, Wessel opened up with a very solid cliff at the top of the face and then stomped one of the biggest backflips of the season, forcing the judges to reward her with a big score and 1st place in Hakuba. In Canada, all eyes were on the Norwegian in the women's ski category, but it wasn't to be for Wessel in Kicking Horse. A crash saw her slump to 10th. In Andorra, she was looking to make amends for her disappointment. Again, we were treated to an impressive backflip. She tracked down the face with a couple of conservative drops, making sure she was clean and consistent. In a very strong field, she was rewarded again with 1st place. In Fieberbrunn, like Kicking Horse, it did not go well for Wessel. A crash on the upper part of the face saw her end the Tyrol event in 11th, but her efforts were enough for 2nd place overall. Let's get to know the reigning world champion in the women's ski category, Ariana Tricome.
My approach to the season, I don't go out with a plan, when I ski I don't tell myself, today I'm gonna drop cliffs. I just go out and usually I just improve because I'm having fun without even realizing, and I see an improvement from winter to winter, so I just guess I stay with the fun and see what happens. It's so crazy when I think I'm double world champ. Like when I think about it, I don't realize, what it means. So winning the last 2 years has been, of course, amazing, and it brought me so far and just opened up so many doors. So I'll be forever thankful to the World Tour for doing that to me. Everyone is like telling me, oh yeah, get the triple. I'd love to. I mean, I can't lie, it'd be awesome to get the triple. I do my best. I might try to send it a little more because I know I could, and I don't want to get stuck on thinking about judging and points too much, but just enjoy myself and progress as a skier and as a person.
Expectations were high for the double reigning world champion, but she kicked off the season in Hakuba with some very tidy and stylish skiing. Showcasing her trademark 360 in the middle of the face, it was good enough for second. In Canada, her confidence was again proved by her relaxed skiing. She threw another 360, and that would in the end prove to be the difference for the Italian, claiming another second place. In the Pyrenees, Tricome was carrying an ankle injury, but on the face, she looked as stylish and as solid as ever. Her line choice wasn't as aggressive as usual, and she got bucked slightly trying to shut down speed for one hit, which could have seen her dock points, so she had to settle for 6th place. In Fieberbrunn, Ariana was under an immense amount of pressure, but she didn't hesitate, taking on the Housel cliff at the top and then making her way out to the left-hand side onto this windlip, where again we saw that trademark 360. In the lower face, she sent a huge drop to the finish. It was first place for Tricome in Fieberbrunn and first place in the overall rankings. So overall rankings in arguably the hardest fought category this year, women's ski. Tricome is 3-time world champion. In second place, the Norwegian Hedvig Wessel and the American Jackie Passo in third. Before we look at the top 3 in the men's ski competition, let's have a chat with the 2018 world champion.
I am Christopher Trudell. I spend my winters traveling America, Japan and Europe, skiing with my best friends and competing. The main thing is just to stay healthy through all the travels. You survive jet lag, upper skis, and get lost in Tokyo, carry our ski bags all over the world and eat healthy. So if you manage to catch a cold or hang over on the wrong day, you won't ski as good. So you have to take care of yourself and have good timing. Try to keep everything simple and keep your routine so you can just focus on your comp run. I mean, learning the face and watching it in your binoculars, because you're not allowed to go into the venue at all before you run. It's a huge part of the sport, and people often don't realize that we're not actually able to ski or be in the face before. So the more time and the more you know, and being able to turn that around in your head and experience it and visualize it, because I think it's super important for safety and being able to put down a good run. It's impossible to pinpoint who is going to be on the podium, because there is at least half the field could win the comp, it feels like. It comes down to who's having a good day, who's having the best feeling and good timing as well in picking a line that works that day.
Andrew Pollard was Rookie of the Year with a 4th place finish overall in 2019. He opened his account in Japan with a fast, solid run. He stomped some sizable cliffs in Hakuba and was rewarded with a 4th place. Pollard had proved he'd picked up in 2020 where he left off in 2019. Now he needed to back that up. He launched his first cliff in Kicking Horse and then showed the rest of the face a clean set of heels. 3rd place in Canada. Pollard then opened up in Andorra with a stylish 360 and doubled into a drop to stay consistent and claim 6th position. But it wasn't to be for Pollard in Fieberbrunn. Another strong 360 and 2 huge jumps, but it would only be enough for 9th place on the Wildsee loader for the American. Still, his consistency meant he took 3rd place in the overall rankings.
Buddy.
Turdell was not in good shape in Japan. He opened with a nice cliff drop, but his 360 had a sketchy landing. It was 12th place for the Swede. After that disappointing start in Hakuba, Turdell didn't hesitate in Kicking Horse and threw a huge backflip over this ridge. He was then able to control the speed and cut back into another cliff before sending the line into one of the most technical zones on the face and taking on one of the biggest cliffs in the zone. He lined it up perfectly. There could be absolutely no doubt in the judge's mind who would take the win in the men's ski category. In Andorra, the 2018 world champ decided to head out onto the steeper left-hand side of the drop-in to showcase the nerves of steel he possesses. From there, he kept his foot flat to the floor, blasting an amazing backflip. Then, rather than take the skier's right-hand line, he headed further to the left, opted for another backflip. His efforts were rewarded with 3rd place in Ordino Arcalis. It wasn't to be Turdell's day in the Tyrol. Although he started fast and solid, he ended up getting caught up in some shrubbery. It was a costly mistake, which would see him finish in 17th place. But due to the cancellation of the Verbier event, Turdell found himself on the podium. 2nd place overall for the Swede. Isaac Freeland showed 2 huge drops in Hakuba. The rookie then backed that up with a solid 360. It was enough for 5th place. In Kicking Horse, Freeland opened up with another solid cliff, followed by a stylish 360. A fast run, but only good enough for 11th. The Californian, who plies his trade in Alta, Utah, hadn't yet unveiled his freestyle repertoire until this switch Misty straight into a mute grab. He then backed up that stunning top section with a very fast midsection. A strong run from Freeland and a statement of intent worth 2nd place in Andorra. Freeland had proved his freestyle credentials. Fieberbrunn would be a completely different test though. It was now the turn of his big mountain skills. He opened with the 360 and redirected instantly off the Househall cliff. Then he controlled his speed perfectly on the traverse, managing another 360 off the windlip. He then hit the gas as if he hadn't already, claiming 2nd place in Fieberbrunn and the Freeride World Tour Championship for 2020. So, Freeland in 1st, the Swede Turdell in 2nd, Pollard in 3rd, and a trio of young Kiwis waiting to leave their mark in 4th to 6th. Montana raised, but currently residing in Oregon. Erica Vikander, aka the Viking, was very strong in her Hakuba run. She used strong edge control in variable snow conditions to really shine and took 3rd place. In kicking horse, Vikander opted for start number 1. A half cab off the top cornice was a brilliant way to pique the judges' attention. She then laid out some huge turns in the middle of the face, leaving a massive vapour trail like an F-15 fighter jet. Canada offered another third place. Unfortunately, Andorra was not to be for the Viking. After 2 third places, she had to settle for 4th place in the Pyrenees, despite a very technical line. In Austria, Vikander used her trademark style and got stuck into some big turns. She even flashed out a method and then followed that up with a frontside air into some of the deepest snow on the face. It was another solid run, and 3rd place in Austria also secured 3rd place in the overall ranking. Australian rookie Michaela Davis-Meehan knew that some of the big guns were out for 2020, so it was her chance to leave her mark at her first ever Freeride World Tour event. She started strong in Japan with a solid run and was rewarded with 2nd place in Hakuba. In Canada, it was disappointment for Davis-Meehan, 5th place, but it only served to fire her up for Andorra. In Ordino Arcalis, the slopestyle rider turned freerider went into her line and popped straight off a rock, which really impressed the judges and turned heads amongst the spectators. Some solid turns all the way down into the finish, and the judges rewarded the rookie with 1st place. In Fieberbrunn, the Australian got stuck into one of the most exposed areas of the Wildsee loader. Her line score was maxed out after blasting through the steepest section of the face, and a beautiful method off this drop, 2nd in Fieberbrunn and 2nd overall. Reigning world champion Marianne Haerty got a perfect score of 10,000 from last year's tour. In Hakuba, she opened once again with fast, solid riding all the way down. Confident grabs and good flow, all trademarks of Haerty's riding. The judges rewarding her with 1st place. It's no understatement to say that Marianne Haerty is in a class of her own in the women's snowboard category. In Canada, she took on 3 big features on the ozone face and left the rest of the field in her wake. Another 1st place for Haerty. In Ordino Arcalis, she started her run in a very strong position, taking on one of the steepest and most exposed areas of the face. But from here, you could say it wasn't the same aggressive run that we're used to seeing from the Frenchwoman. It was the first chink we saw in her armour, and she had to settle for 3rd. In the Tyrol, she was back to winning ways, and she set out of the gate aggressively and didn't hesitate in airing the most critical section of the face. She then controlled her speed in what was a masterclass in freeride snowboarding. Haerty then found a monster step down, yet another solid run and yet another title. World champion in 2020 for Marianne Haerty. So, confirmation of the results, Haerty again dominates the field to be crowned world champion, followed by Michaela Davis-Meehan and Erika Vikander. There has been some truly incredible riding during this year's Freeride World Tour. So let's take a closer look at some of the best POV footage.
Yeah, bud. See you at the bottom, man. Have fun.
You guys at the bottom, do your thing, stay on your feet, and shall we have a beer at the bottom? Excuse me. Okay. Excuse me, could you make a way? Could you make a way? That's my takeoff. Yeah, boys! Ah! Finally landed one! Yeah!
Switch underflip off the top.
Yo! What the? Yeah, alright. And I was like, ah!
You have power in your face.
I know. How'd you do?
I got 4 jet balls! Never been in a hot seat before!
Go for hot seat! Yeah, buddy! Hot seat! Yeah! Grass boys! Yay! Come
Let's now hear from Sami Lubke, one of the veterans on tour.
Name's Sami Lubke. I've been on the tour for now, it's my 8th year. Yeah, I've had ups and downs. I've had a few years getting close to reaching the title, and then 3 years straight of winning it. And kind of the last couple years have just been having fun. What's kept me coming back for more is probably just the excitement. People we compete with are like friends, family, you know, like, so coming back to see them and traveling to all these places, but still exciting competing against like such young, hungry kids these days. So I guess that kind of keeps you going.
Sami opened in Hakuba with a packed top section and floated into the mid part of the face where his board control came to the fore. Working his way across the big spine, he threw a frontside 360 and then looked for a transfer with this stalefish grab. Unfortunately, a big ice ball in the landing proved to be his undoing. It was 4th place in Japan. Sami Lubke is one of the most experienced snowboarders on the Freeride World Tour. And he knew this kicking horse face better than most. And with a very clean run, he earned himself 2nd place. In the rerun of Andorra, which took place in Fieberbrunn, Lubke opened with a sweet backside 360. He then linked that with a frontside 360 further down the face before he headed into the forest. Overall, 4th place for him in the rerun. Lubke was then able to make amends in Austria. This run was bookended by a beautiful start on the Hausel Cliff and one of the biggest airs of the day to finish. Victor Delarue is part of a very impressive snowboarding dynasty, but he set about making his own legacy. The 2019 world champion at the first time of asking set himself up in Japan with a huge hit at the top. He then managed to hold on to that, but it put him offline and he was forced to improvise on the lower section of the face. But he was still good enough for first. In kicking horse, Victor opened his run with a beautiful backside 360. He then tore into the face with some beautiful lines, making his way down onto a smaller cliff at the bottom. 3rd place for Victor Delarue in Canada. In the rerun of the Andorra event, Victor took 5th place. He did open with a stylish 360, but he lost his edge and took a tumble further down the face. With the benefit of hindsight, it could be the mistake that cost him the title. Victor just couldn't find his mojo on the Wildseeloader face that day. In Fieberbrunn, he had some decent drops, but by his standards, it was a conservative run. 8th place for Delarue, which would see him slip to 2nd in the overall rankings. American Nils Mindnik blew up on the freestyle scene with his brother Hans in 2012. Since then, he's steadily been building his backcountry credentials, and he proved them capably on the face here in Hakuba. A beautiful backside 360 in the middle of the face, followed by a couple of technical drops, and 2nd place for the rookie in Japan. In kicking horse, Mindnik showed a fast and solid run, but couldn't impress the judges. Instead, he had to settle for 6th place in Canada. In the rerunning of the Andorra Snowboard Men's Contest in Fieberbrunn, Nils Mindnik opened up with a beautiful frontside 360. That was then backed up with a rotation in the opposite direction, a backside 360. Slight backseat landing, but he put a full stop on the run with this huge backside air to finish. And finally, Mindnik claimed his maiden victory on the Freeride World Tour. There is no doubt that the Wildseeloader face seems to lend itself to Mindnik's style of riding, as he looked so comfortable. In the Fieberbrunn event proper, he opened up with another frontside 360. He then got into some big mountain turns, but it was this, a shifty late backside 180 that really defined his run. Road switch, and then another frontside 360. A very, very impressive day for Niels Midnick. 2 wins and first overall in the rankings. So those 2 wins in one day secured Niels Midnick the overall title in 2020. Victor De La Rue in second and the veteran Sami Lubke in third. The Freeride World Tour 2020 was a huge success, although everybody missed the last stop in Verbier. But this just increases the anticipation for next season. Stay tuned when the best free riders in the world take on the Freeride World Tour in 2021.